Ignition. Liftoff.
What's up, guys? Happy Monday night. Monday Night Lights here for Assiniboia Downs. I have the OG crew. I feel like Gino and I haven't been on a live stream in quite a while, but we've been on plenty of them prior to this. And then we've got Sarah as well and Matthew. I'll start with Sarah. Sarah, how are you doing tonight?
Great. I have my nighttime coffee. We were talking about how we all wanted to take naps earlier. Everybody's wide awake for a
old
night.
Yeah. And Matthew, are you throwing back some soda, or have we?
We're living the healthy life, and we're sticking to some Propel energy drink. But rest assured, I'm 42, and I took a nap earlier today, so I could make it through the rest of this card. So, we got to do whatever it takes to make it up to Assiniboia at night. But excited for tonight.
The things we do for Assiniboia. And then Gino, who is completely spoiled I guess we were just talking about how California is not spoiled right now, but time zone wise spoiled for Assiniboia Downs.
Because this is early. This is just nothing for me. I got the football game just starting right now, watching NFL. I got another screen over here with Assiniboia. We're only, about 10 minutes away from first post. So make sure to get entered and get all set up for tonight's game. We'll help you out along the way. We'll have some fun. I don't get the chance to hang out with Sarah or you, Bree, as much as I would like. But Matt, I get to annoy Matt every week on Friday. So I'm sure Matt is very happy to be dealing with me for another hour or so today.
I love it. I need to bookend my week with Gino. Mondays and Fridays. That's what I need.
There you go. Not bad.
So if you have not tuned into the Friday live streams, they're at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's Gino, it's Matthew, it's Barry Sniper Spears. They do an awesome job. And I swear, weekly you all hit 10 to 1 in the Stable Duel app, but also, in a regular traditional wager. So if you're looking for value in the cards that weekend, Del Mar, which, sad, but there will be other race tracks that you guys will cover for sure. I'm getting in the app here to see what the exact countdown is. In case you are building your stables, we have a $5,000 guarantee tonight, $25 entry, $1,000 to the top spot. And it looks like you've got
about 7 minutes.
7 minutes. Okay. 7 minutes to get in, which if you're quick and you just want to put a stable together, it's 7 races, 10 horses. So you're going to have to double up in multiple races, which we're going to talk a lot about tonight. There's some interesting races, including a stakes race. Number 2, $40,000. Hey-ho, to the bank. And, some other little shorter purses early on. But that's the name of the game for Assiniboia Downs. It's a quick 7 race card, and it's exciting stuff. Do you guys, when you were handicapping the entire card, what was the overall, wow, this is hard, or this is a clear winner? Where was your mindset going through the card tonight? Sarah, what do you think?
Cards here are tough because there's a lot of short priced favorites on the morning line. And I think you have to make a lot of decisions about which ones you want to include in your stable, because you can't have them all. Whereas some other tracks, the morning line is much more wide open. You can find those more vulnerable favorites. Favorites win a lot here. So it's harder to find those price horses that you can pick out that are actually going to get you some points instead of putting you in the red. So I think that's the kind of unique challenge for Assiniboia. So you have to choose your favorites wisely.
Matthew, what about you? What'd you think going through this card?
Yeah, I thought much like Sarah, it's a challenge for sure. I mean, the benefit of a 7 race card is that you can probably pick more favorites up top than you would normally, because there are such huge long shots as well. So you can balance a $200 horse with a $500 horse, and you can kind of make sure that you're balanced out a little bit. I think identifying those long shots is always critical. There are a couple that I really like in this spot, or throughout the card. So I think that sometimes makes those choices a little bit easier. But to Sarah's point, there are some races where there's 3-4 horses that are $8,000 or higher, and so now you're really having to choose between kind of 3 horses that are all pretty solid. And if you choose wrong, you spent $8,000 on a 3rd or 4th place horse now, and that's a tough pill to swallow. So always a challenge at Assiniboia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I try to go. Oh, go ahead, Bree.
No. So just to that point, so I'm going to pull up a race from the 22nd of August at Assiniboia Downs that has in race 2 a bunch of these horses, and we're going to see how they finish there because it's kind of the same thought process. They all have already run against each other. They're all expensive in the app, short odds for morning line. So we'll just look at the race and see, if there's anything that we can pull out of that race to determine who we think is going to win this one. But go ahead, Gino, what you got?
Yeah, I think especially at Assiniboia, I try to start with the prices that I like, the big prices early, and it makes the building of the lineup a little bit easier. So I attacked like 2 races where I knew I had an 8-1 shot that I was going to play in my lineup right away. In race number 2, I like Melisandre a little bit. So I threw in the 5 in that race for sure. I think she's going to be on the lead. I went to the 6th race when I was handicapping the card. I liked Goldeneye a little bit. That was another 8-1 shot. So I start building my lineup there. And then it gives me a little bit more wiggle room. Whereas people sometimes will do it the other way. They'll use the chalks early. And then late, you're trying to just pick horses that you're anything that can fit in. This way, you kind of do it the other way where it gives you a little bit more room backwards. And then even in the 7th race, if anyone's last minute putting one in, I threw in the 3 NJ's Brass as one of 2 horses to use. That horse is 25-1 on the morning line. It costs you basically nothing to use in your stable dual lineup. So that really gave me, like I was putting together a lineup of 9 today. As Matt and Sarah mentioned, in some races, you're going to have to spend up for sure. So I basically used one race where I went with a big price that didn't really cost me much at all.
And there is actually a horse in that race that cost $0. There is a 40-1 horse in that last race. So if you really don't want to spend anything, you can do that. I wouldn't advise it. I don't know about that 40-1, but yeah, going after those 25-1s is a really good move.
It's definitely going to be an interesting card. And I think too, with some of these style games, really it's Assiniboia right now with the shorter fields, the shorter cards. You're almost like, okay, this is what my first initial thought would be, which means it's most players' first initial thought. So then I need to pivot and try something different, because otherwise, if you're picking a stable that everybody else you think is going to pick, you're all going to tie potentially best case scenario for first or whatever it is. But what if you pick the $250 one that just seems to show up and have the freaking race of its life, and then now you have won the $1,000? So it's just interesting how you look at the strategy building your stables for a card like this, whether it's, front to back, as Gino just said, where he runs out and by the time he gets to race 7, it's like, what can fit through this thing? Price rise, and sometimes start at the last race so that you're not super top heavy. Or I think, Matt, last time you said the way you like to do it is you really like to, pick your heavy opinions first, and then fill in from there,
Yeah, I typically go super heavy, like favorites, big long shots, and then I see what I have left. And then the long shots that I really like. Gino mentioned a couple of them actually. And then I kind of go, okay, where am I with the rest of these like 5 or 6 horses that I need to pick? And then it's a matter of that calculus of like, how cheap do I want to go? Or how, Gino, to inside joke, how inexpensive do I want to go? And
because we want to be nice, right? Cheap, it sounds, sometimes it can be a little mean. Inexpensive is a nicer way of
bargain.
Exactly.
Thrifty.
Us ladies love a bargain. All right, well, we should probably one more minute because it's about 5 minutes. Let's go 49 seconds until the game locks. So if you are listening right now and you're finalizing your last horse, make sure you get it in. You've got 40 seconds to get it in. And then we're kicking off, and I'm going to pull up the stream here because I'm pulling up race 4 from the 22nd of August so we can play this before race 2 tonight and see a bunch of those horses run. Another cool part of Assiniboia, it's kind of like harness racing in the fact that you are seeing the horses run like quite frequently. You're learning their names, like Big Tony. We all love Big Tony.
Gotta love Big Tony.
Not on the card today, which is a little bit of a bummer, but there's some other ones that we have seen before and we love. So, yep, everybody awesome. Colin, Keith, thanks for tuning in. Everybody else, if you're here, shoot us a hi. We're going to do giveaways, and we'll do giveaways by comment. So I've got Assiniboia Downs hats and t-shirts over here. So we'll do that on the live stream. Probably maybe after race 2 we'll do the first one. But But yeah, let's kick it off. Does anybody have the actual feed of the track up? Tell me how it's going.
It's listed as 0 minutes. They're still probably about a minute or two away. They're still walking away from the gate. So yeah, we still have a little bit of time. So now that we're all locked, who did you guys use in race number 1?
I know I waited until like the last second. I was like, I'll put out my stable with like 5 minutes to go.
There you go. So no super copycat everything of it. I went from the inside to the one.
I went with dot, the 2 horse. I know the 5 is getting all the money and is the kind of strong favorite, but the 5 also just ran 7 days ago, and now she's run well in that sort of turnaround before, and running against state restricted fillies is something that she's done really well in. She's only lost to Mia Bear, who would be like 1-9 in this field. So there's a lot of reasons that makes sense. I just think dot ran really well last time, ran well against the boys 2 out ago. And it's just, she's never won. Sarah, you can appreciate this. I like a horse that doesn't win. And so, hashtag midnight bourbon. So
you have a type. We talked about this.
I have a type. And, but that's where I went with the first race.
Though I thought the one, if you just look at no surprises, recent races, it seems like all of the races where there's moisture on the track, where it's wet, where it's good, doesn't run well. On a fast track, she has really good efforts. And they seem like if you just take away all of the races on a wet track, all of a sudden her form looks a lot better. So that was what I did with no surprise. I used her maybe showing some inside speed here.
So I have faded so if I was putting stables together, I would do multiple for this game because the payouts are so fluffy and I love them. So I would do HDs, Hope, and 1. But realistically, morning line 9 to 5, very expensive in stable duel. I think there's more value to be found in some of these other ones. And you can look at even notable Nora, like it ran in a $5,000 claimer, got 3rd. It ran in a $62,500 claimer, got 6th. I mean, that's pretty darn similar to what HD's Hope has done as well. So to me, the 9 to 5 just seems a bit extreme for opinions when you've got other values. I mean, 3 to 1 isn't much of a value, but I also like dot. So those are kind of the 3 that I would position in stable duel on 3 different stables for sure.
And what happened also, there was a morning line typo. I don't know if you guys heard when they were reading the changes just a few minutes ago. The 3 horse was actually supposed to be 15 to 1 in this first race.
That makes sense.
I'm Shining Lady, and was only 3 to 1 on the morning line. So that kind of changed a couple things around a little bit. It didn't seem like anyone really like it flipped anyone all that much, but just like a little bit more money on each of the shorter prices, and that one floated up.
Okay, Gino, since this is your first Assiniboia Downs, we're throwing you to the fire. You have to do race call for number 1.
Okay. Yeah, okay, no problem. I used to when I was at TVG a couple of years, I would do the late night shifts on like Saturdays, and there would be international racing from Japan a lot of the time, and so they wouldn't, if the feed is in Japanese. So, if when they're saying it, nobody can really understand. So we would usually have whoever was sitting there talk over it. So I would actually try sometimes to call the race, but they go in these weird camera angles, and then there's 20 horses. It's like an up over, and then they cut again. And I said, nah, I can't really do that. I'll give this one a shot though, with this field of 6 coming up at Assiniboia Downs. Little easier here.
Keith is also on dot. So good luck, Keith.
Yeah, and I saw Sarah is too, set. Because we have a type, Sarah. It's all right.
Everybody's got a type. So they just broke from the gate right now. 6 horse, showing a little bit of speed. That's Storm Kitten, but they all did line up across the racetrack. Literally lined up 6 horses across the racetrack, all just jockeying for position. They're separated by no more than a length going into at the first furlong or so. Now they'll start to take a little more position. The 6 drops back out of it to last. The 2 dot has the nose in front right now, with the 4 horse notable Nora right to the outside. Down inside, no surprise, is in a little bit tight. Going to get that shuffle back, of course, because that's the horse that I liked. Here comes the 5 HD's Hope, 3 wide, looming up ominously to the outside. HD's Hope is full of run and about to move to the lead without really being asked. The 1 is behind horses, traveling pretty well, trying to find a way through. The 4's dropping back out of it. So HD's Hope turning for home, still has to get by Dot Dash Dot, though. The 2 Dot Dash Dot has a little bit left in the tank, and the 5's making him work throughout. Long way back to 3rd and 4th. No real effort from nowhere, no surprise. Gonna be tight late here. Dot Dash Dot holds
All
off
right.
HD's Hope. 3rd was Notable Nora. No surprise, got a little stop down on the inside and couldn't really re-rally. So Dot Dash Dot, who was that was a couple of us, right? You Sarah had that one.
Fun fact about that horse, that was actually her first win, and she was just taken out of the maiden ranks and just thrown in with winners.
Yeah.
So that was what I really liked about this horse, because I was like, they're not even trying for a maiden race anymore. They're just like, you know what? You keep getting checks. Like, let's just go for something better.
Yeah, because she's run against really good fields. I mean, she's running a couple of stakes races. And so those, it wasn't as just she's been banging her head against maiden special weights or maiden claimers at Assiniboia. So that was what impressed me too. But glad she finally broke through. Look at us. We picked the winner, Sarah.
It's only been like a year, and finally we get one of these horses home.
And what was a really nice job by the jockey here was just holding that inside position, because they lined up all across the track, and you want to be down towards the inside there, and you want to make sure you don't get shuffled, because it's hard when there's horses on both sides of you and get squeezed back. That was a really nice job, because she actually hadn't been one that showed that much type of speed in her other races. But we see this a lot and at some of the lower levels. If you've come out of tougher races, the jockeys can get aggressive and just sort of get a little more speed out of you, hold the position sometimes. And with horses that are coming out of tougher races, like you mentioned, once you're just competitive, that's the key. The key really is just getting into the race, and then those better horses will continue to fight on.
That 5 has some hang in her, though, because you're right. Like, that 5 moved up like it was nobody's business around the turn. And I'm thinking, well, she's going to win by like 10 lengths. And then she was like, I'll just hang out with this other buddy of mine, and we'll just run around the track together. So yeah, that was interesting, because the HD Hopes wins was by like 9.5 lengths. I mean, so she's like blown fields out before, but that was noticeably a hang job there by the 5, I thought.
And I think it's funny too that we are considering a quarter in almost 25 seconds speed, but at this track it is.
Yeah, especially when they're lining up all across the track and it's contested like that. Right. Track announcer Frank Miramati is going to be unhappy with me, because when he uses the word looming, like ominously, that usually means the horse is going to go on and win. So I mushed his word, one of his favorites there, when he says it. He'd be really disappointed if he heard that right there. That's what happens sometimes. You get a little premature, You see that horse moving in, you get real excited, and then
you do. Yeah.
And the other thing sorry, go ahead, Bree.
No, you're fine. I was going to touch on, so Mia Bear is that just beast that we've been pretty much following every single stream. And we did touch on her with Dot Dash Dot, that Dot Dash Dot ran against Mia Bear. But I mean, multiple times here. And Dot Dash Dot got second to her twice. Well, second to her in one and third behind her in another one. And again, you're looking at like being beaten by a bunch of lengths, but Mia Bear was far out of the leagues of these horses. And Dot Dash Dot just showed that she could hang even against HD's Hope, So it's interesting to look at horses that have beaten them from the past performances, and to make sure that your mindsets are comparing that while you're handicapping, which I know Gino does all the freaking time. He goes as deep as like the third sire, dam, like offspring. And he's like, well, one time in 1980, this thing won on dirt, which it's not showing dirt. So, and then the thing wins. So just keep this, keep mind all that.
One or two times when I was on TVG years back, I had missed something, and then I said, I'll never let myself live that down. You get called out. So now I just want to make sure I've got as much stuff covered if I'm like providing coverage for the races. So yeah, that was a very, very nice job, both of you, getting winner right off the bat. That's what you need here.
Keith,
just to keep stacking.
Shout out to Keith on that one too. So you should be getting about, it didn't look like a lot, but 60, 61, 60.5.
Yeah, 60.5.
Something like that. Yeah, for this. And then the second place horse, HD's Hope, is going to be coming in at 39.5. So still very good picks if you had either of those to start out the card, and if you doubled up, I'm not sure where the other ones finished, but still not a bad run. Do we want to move on to race 2, which is, I'm actually more excited to, hold on, let me go through this.
Yeah, the heck with the
Did
card.
you-
What are you more excited about, Bree? What
race do you want to talk about?
Did you see the Kyle's 30 and dirty? Not Kyle's dirty 30. Like, it's Kyle's 30 and dirty. Do you know what I'm talking
race?
about, guys?
What
Which
race
one?
is this?
It's race number 4, which is, these smaller tracks do really cool things like this. So they'll do like bachelor parties.
Oh, I
parties.
didn't. That doesn't pop up on my racing form. I didn't see that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the
Oh,
name of a
okay.
horse.
Hold
Oh,
on,
so
let me
this,
get
the
this-
race is named the Kyle's Dirty and 30?
Where is it? There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like dirty
Oh,
30.
Yes. Okay,
So
nice.
I'm wondering if it's a typo that it's supposed to be Kyle's dirty 30, but it's Kyle's 30 and he's dirty, guys.
That's great. That is great.
So
Shout out
That
to
will be-
Kyle.
Yes. shout out to Dirty Kyle here.
That would have been one of
Um,
those headlines that they send in on the Tonight Show, right? Like the typos that they
Yeah.
have.
Kyle's 30 and dirty. I really want to know. I'm gonna have to email Assiniboia Downs and be like,
Yeah.
was it supposed to be his dirty 30?
Kyle, if you're out there watching right now, Kyle, let us know if it's dirty and 30, 30 and dirty,
30
both
and dirty or dirty,
dirty
30.
/ dirty, whatever it is.
Yes. Okay. So I'm not crazy. You're all
Maybe it's like a martini thing. I don't know. Some martini. Maybe they're
Wallet
like,
straight up.
yeah.
I have a hard time thinking we're doing martini references at Assiniboia Downs on Monday night, but that's just me. I
Who
don't know.
knows?
So,
Who knows?
Yeah.
As long as the vodka is Russian, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle, not probably a connoisseur of this, but that's all right. Having a good time tonight.
Oh my gosh. Okay, race 2 is a real stakes here, not a dirty and 30. It is the 41st running of the Manitoba Matron, right? That's how
Yep.
you say that? Matron
Mhm.
Stakes. $40,000 guaranteed. This is breaking the norm for Assiniboia, and they are going 2 turns and coming out that chute for a mile and an eighth, 40,000 guaranteed. I'm trying to spend more time reading conditions to understand them. So this one says non-winners of $12,000 once, other than maidens claiming. So these horses could not have won a race besides a maiden or a claiming that paid them $12,000. Is that right?
Yeah, those types of levels. So they couldn't have won maiden, claiming, starter, or restricted races, and then they'll tell you underneath sometimes like how low the levels are of the races that qualify. So, you know, if you dive into each horse, they're all spotted in this race because they haven't been winning a bunch of money recently. But a horse like Spun Line coming out of those stakes races kind of jumps off the page as far as classy, because like you said, you have a lot of other horses in here who have been maybe facing stakes company, but Spun Line has been like consistently in stakes and consistently competing well. From a class standpoint, she's probably going to be pretty tough in here to compete. But from a stable duel standpoint, do you want to spend up that much to use her? That's always the question.
And the other big question literally about all of these horses is you are adding some extra length in this race that any of them have run. So for me, I looked at, did any of them fade in the mile and the 16th? Because does that mean that they're going to fade even worse in a mile and an eighth? And again, when you're trying to, narrow down your choices, you've got to look at all these different angles. And again, we'll play a replay here. Should we do the replay first of
Sure.
August 22nd? So August 22nd is a race that has Ain't She Darlin', Spun Line, Texas Rain, Big Stretch, and that's it. Did I do that right? Hold on.
Yep.
Let me make sure.
Yep.
22, yeah. Yep. So 4 out of the 5 horses ran in a race against each other. It's race 4, August 22nd. So I was prepared to do all this, but I need to share screen and get it all sorted. So hang on here, folks. Let's go window.
And right now, looking at the odds, Spun Line is 7-5. Ain't She Darlin' is 9-1. Texas Rain is 7-2. Big Stretch is 3-1. The horse who's getting a little bit of money is the one that isn't in that race, and we can talk about it a little after, is Melisandre, who I actually have picked. Think that might be able to show some speed in here. But yeah, the other 4 all come out of that August 22nd race.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go. Let's click here. And then there it is. Oh, look how pretty this is. Put the sound on. Okay. So here is the August 27th.
Yeah, so this was race 4, August 22nd. The one in this race was Texas Rain, who's the 3. In this one, Ain't She Darlin' was the 5 in here. Spun Line was the 2, and Big Stretch was the 3 in this race that we're watching.
Yeah, and going 2 turns at Assiniboia is such an unusual thing. And it is hard to go back into these horses' PPs and even find sometimes a mile race. And so it's not even necessarily about finding a mile and an eighth, but just seeing anything at a mile or longer, 7.5 furlongs. Just the 2 turns element of it is what a lot of times I try to look at to see, is there anything there?
And I think one of the things I've talked about on these streams before is that with these route races at Assiniboia, inside post positions do so much better than the outside ones. Like it's really 1 through 3, and then this huge drop off of win rate for everybody else to the outside. So I like to stay kind of more to the inside with the horses that I'm picking for these route races, because I don't know what it is there, but the inside posts are just outperforming the outside a significant amount.
When you don't have some speed, some sort of positional speed, and you're just hooked wide, you have no shot. Like if you're wide towards the back here, you're in some serious trouble. Hopefully in this case, we'll talk about Melisandre. She can clear from the outside because she has some speed and maybe she can get over and it won't impact her as much. But Sarah's absolutely right. It is hard to be wide and towards the back in here. You just lose so much ground with the way this track is set up.
Okay, so you're looking Spun Line in front, Big Stretch second, and Texas Rain is third right there.
Yep.
Yeah, and even there, it's 1, 2, 3, and then 5 and 4 in the back. So
4 in the way back.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. So I'm hearing the race call in my ear, and I'm over here like it's really loud, and I'm sure you guys heard nothing. Is that what happened?
We heard nothing. That is correct.
yeah.
Big Tony coming down the stretch. That's what we heard.
Just
No.
awkward silence all around, guys.
That's why we
Sorry
were
about
talking
that.
over it.
Yeah.
So,
I was like, wow.
You know, you guys kind of were like,
we
we should say something.
Sorry. All right. But yeah, so there you go. So you're looking at 4 out of the 5 horses that are in this race have already competed against each other, Spun Line. And it wasn't a blowout or anything. So it's kind of hard to take that race and be like, okay, well, here was a bad trip. I didn't really see a bad trip. Did anybody see anything they can pull from that to maybe pick, your what exacta would you put together in race 2? Gino, what do you think?
And that's why I tried to stay away from that race, mainly because I thought the 4 of them were all pretty closely separated. I didn't see a whole lot of traffic, trouble, things why I would upgrade one that maybe finished behind. So I went to the outside horse, to Melisandre, for a couple different reasons. Mm-hmm. She might be the quickest in here. She's drawn to the outside, and in her last couple of races, she was behind Hidden Grace back-to-back times. Hidden Grace has won 3 in a row. That's an 18-time winner, and she's just faster than Melisandre. Prior to that, she was behind French Rose a couple times. French Rose has won 2 in a row and has won 3 of 4. She's also faster. So Melisandre couldn't get the lead in those races against horses who are just faster than her and would be getting the lead in here. I think that it's probably the game plan for her from the outside. Let's just send hard. Let's see if we can clear off and open up a length or 2 on this field. And, we'll see if we can get the mile and an eighth. Overall, she's one of the more lightly raced horses in this field, the most lightly raced in the field. She's an 8-time winner here, and she's stacked up pretty well with a lot of this group. And those 2 that I mentioned are really nice horses she's been behind recently. So I like the outside draw just with the speed, because I'm hoping she just goes and tries to get in front of them. So I'll use the 5 in here. If I had to double up, I would use Spun Line, but I'm not actually double up in races. Where do I double up? Race 5 and race 6 today are the races I'm going to double up.
Okay.
And 7, 5, 6, and 7.
Sarah, what did you decipher out of race 2 here?
Yeah, I mean, with everybody kind of finishing close enough to each other in that last race, I'm not really seeing anybody as like the standout star in that group. Spunline, obviously, the winner of that race and makes the most sense in here and also gets that favorable one hole as well. Probably going to win this race, but just from a stable duel standpoint, I just wanted to use the other horses that were close enough that cost a little bit less. So I went with the number 2, Ain't She Darling, just because the gap in terms of length speeding wasn't really too much for me to worry about, and especially with such a short field again. I'm just hoping, like, because these races are so much kinder to the inside than even the sprints there, that I get a little bit more out of this horse. And then with the 3, Texas Rain, Timeform US actually has this one ahead of the 1 Spunline at the finish. I don't know that I fully trust that, but I'll give it a shot based on these morning line prices because I wanted to buy some of the favorites later on, so I needed to save a little bit more in this race.
Matthew, where are you at with this one?
Yeah, I doubled up with a 1-5. I went with a favorite who I think keeps getting better with distance. And so I think the 1 1/8 will be this horse's friend. So I don't have any real issues there. As Sarah mentioned, that inside post has been very, very beneficial to Assiniboia. We saw that. I remember we were on the live stream Manitoba Derby Day, and we saw that really come through with the one Diodoro horse on the inside. And then the 5, yeah, I like Melisandre a lot on the outside. I also like her as a character on Game of Thrones, but I like her on the outside because this is a horse that has not run long very often, but is 2 for 3 winning at a mile. And so this is a horse that does traditionally kind of do 6.5, maybe 7 furlongs or 6. But then when it stepped up to a mile, it's run really well. So I like that. And this was kind of a horse that was, the darling of last year at Assiniboia, was just kind of like just steamrolling through Assiniboia in 2021. Hadn't really recaptured her form in 2022, but I think the last couple of races look promising. I think she's kind of getting back to that 2021 form a little bit. And again, in a 5-horse field, and this is another kind of just strategic thing, in a 5-horse field, I'm always going to use a horse that's at a lower price or a lower than average price. To Sarah's point about Ain't She Darling as well. Like, it's just, you're going to get at least a 5th place finish no matter what. And I think in the case of Melisandre, you're going to get a little better than that. So that's why I went 1-5.
She's trying to get back in the House of the Dragon because she's a character that's been alive this whole time. So she can actually, she can play herself, hundreds of years ago, which no other characters can. So she's sort of teasing it. She wants to come back on the show.
So is this the new Game of Thrones, or Melisandre was in the old seasons?
Melisandre was in the old Game of Thrones, but she's technically like old enough that she could have existed during this new show, which is like a prequel from hundreds of years before. But so now we're getting into like nerdy stuff. But this is
I mean, why wouldn't you want to come back and get some more royalties from this new show? I would, of course. You're pushing that. Like,
sure, the actress very much wants to be back.
Like, bring me back. Yeah, come on.
So I wanted to bring up, and Sarah, tell me if these are still good to go.
Wow, you kept it.
I did. Horse Racing Nation does a fantastic job with Sarah and Ed of statistics. She can definitely talk more about this. But I have both of these. So which one? Let's see. Well, we're looking at the roast. So let's look at this one. Go ahead, Sarah. Talk about this.
Well, really quickly, I'm going to pull up the newest one just to see if anything's changed. And then I will talk about that one. I only feel as though the amount of races run is going to be what changes for the post positions, but let me just make sure so I'm not giving everybody false information here. Yes, looking at routes.
Well, while you're looking that up, Keith is joining the Nerd Band. And I'm going to say this about Nerd Band is I feel like Game of Thrones has gotten so mainstream that anyone that's called a nerd for watching Game of Thrones is, I mean, the world are nerds because it's far too mainstream.
That's who's making movies now. Comic books and fantasy. Like that's,
right now, actually in 2 weeks at the same time, there's going to be a Game of Thrones show, a Lord of the Rings show, a Star Wars show, and a Marvel show. All happening simultaneously. So for all of us nerds out there, you're just in absolute heaven right now because it's all become mainstream.
This is your time.
This is your time. Yep.
Brie, I just sent you the newest one on Twitter.
Yeah. I'm getting it. I have to resave it because for some reason, sometimes when these things come in, they come in as files that's okay. I got it.
Cool.
And just to update the lines, it looks like we have a new favorite now with the 4 Big Stretch actually taking the most money at 6-5. Then Spun Line at 2-1, Texas Rain at 3-1, Melisandre at 5-1, and Ain't She Darling at 13-1. And so that is the way things are looking right now from an odds standpoint in the second race.
So if anyone is on Twitter, this is a game I wanted to play. If anyone is on Twitter and do we say Chavion Chow?
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
I mean,
if Chavion Chow wins a race, I just want it to be flooded with gifs of Chow from The Hangover. That's all I want. So whenever Chavion Chow wins a race tonight at Assiniboia Downs, I want you to post your best Chow gif from The Hangover because I mean, he's a fantastic character. So
Nice.
interesting enough, so Kurt and Stretch are hosts of the ASD Live show. They're also the voices that you hear on the live feed. So I wondered if Big Stretch would kind of be a namesake for Assiniboia Downs in general, but I'm pretty sure his pick was the 5, Melisandre. So fun fact. Okay, so we'll bring this up for Sarah to touch on. We've got 5 minutes, so they're doing their post break, so we have plenty of time. So go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, it's even worse now with more races run. So this is our track trends tool, and basically it analyzes the post positions. You can group them in either 2 or 3, and then sort of where those horses are sitting. If they're up and on the pace early, if they're sitting right off the pace within a certain number of lengths, they're the stalkers. And then if they're coming from further back, they're the closers. So the types of horses that dominate these races, as you can see with the green highlight, the stalkers from post 1 through 3 are winning at 32%. In total, the horses from posts 1 through 3 are winning 64% of the time. When you get to those outer posts, it's only 4 horses winning from each 4 through 6, and then 7 and beyond. So this has changed to be showing that the inside speed is honestly even better than I originally thought it was, with 12 more races run at our out distance at Assiniboia. So the inside is the place to be.
And just like we said too, the only shot you really have from the outside is if you have some speed,
right? And
you're going to be close on the lead or sitting right back. Like if you're deep and you're trying to be deep and coming from way out of it towards the wide part of the track, you're just not going to win. You have very little chance.
If you're a closer from post 7 out, you're not winning.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and we should point. I mean, while this is a smaller field, a lot of those route races are usually the bigger races, like they're the stakes races, so they do have fuller fields in those. I remember that from earlier in the year. So it's not as if it's just like, oh, well, it's a 5-horse field, and so 60% of the field is inside, and so you do have bigger fields in those route races in a lot of cases. So.
Right. With the 6.5 average runners, at least you're seeing that the 4 through 6 gets a more fair representation. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Dennis is tuning in, and I know Monday Night Football is off, and I know some people were in between our stream and NFL, which I'm just blessed that we were included in that thought process. So thank you. But let's do this. We're just going to say what's your football team. So in the comments, let us know who your NFL is. We will drop ours as well. We still have time. It's 3 minutes to post, so they're all just still warming up and heading to the gate. So Gino, who is your football team?
I'm a Rams fan, but for me, football is sort of a little bit strange pro football because for most of my life, there wasn't a pro football team in Los Angeles. So for like when I was a kid and all growing up, for me, like the team that I really rooted for was USC. That sort of correlated in USC being like awesome at that time period for like that 10-year stretch when they were really good. So they kind of took the place of the football team I rooted for. And I mean, they paid most of their players anyways. So it was sort of like professional, as it was. So, it worked out well for me, but it was kind of cool because when I started to get into betting, I didn't really have an NFL team that I was biased towards. So I was able to sort of really kind of focus on betting a little bit. And then when the Rams moved back, it was fun. It was like, oh, okay, now I'll root for the Rams. I have a team that I didn't root for before. They don't make me sick when they lose, like it's with the Lakers and the Dodgers. So it's kind of probably the most fun team I have rooting for, because I think my family is okay when the Rams lose. Like last week, I was telling Matt, I'm okay when they lose games. But if the Lakers or the Dodgers lose games like that, I don't even talk to me for another 24 hours. I don't want to eat. I'm just frustrated. So I'm part of the Ramily though now. That's my team.
Okay. Well, I just got to call Dennis out here. And Dennis, if you dislike this stream because I say this, I will drive to your house and I'll let you know right now. Louisville, at least for the college team, and I don't know if that's where you're going with this, y'all got beat by the Orange. And I grew up in Syracuse, and they're terrible too. And you guys got blown out. So maybe you shouldn't make that public. And you shouldn't compare yourself to UK, who's also kind of a terrible team, but they're a good terrible team the last couple of years. So that's all I'm going to say. Razor's in the house. What's up, everyone? What's up, Razor?
Nice.
And
Hey,
then
Razor.
we've got Colin, who's a Patriots fan. I've actually always wondered, because my other half is a Patriots fan, so I wondered if a lot of people would jump ship once Tom Brady did, but he's staying on board. Sarah, what about you? Who's your
I was going to say,
NFL?
Sarah, you a Pats fan?
Okay. To be honest, there's no room for another sport in my life like horse racing. Like there's just
Right.
not enough space in my brain to left for any other sporting event. And I'm not a huge football person, but having lived in Massachusetts for 8 years before I moved here in January, and also working in a bar where the TV is on, I mean, you can't really not be a Patriots fan, or at least you can't publicly not be a Patriots fan, especially with all the success that they had over the time that I lived there. So if it's on TV, I'll watch it. If it's a live game, I'll go, and that goes for any sporting event. But to be honest, I really could not care less about football. So Patriots, but I'm not going to kill anybody over their team.
I love the honesty. There you go. We've got zip codes coming out.
02035.
02035, yes.
Nice.
Oh, and it looks like Razor is a cheesehead.
Okay.
Okay.
Struggling after yesterday.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, let me check that we're not missing this race here. We're good.
We're not.
Did you
No,
know-
we're not.
We're
Still
good.
moving.
and this is only from a Netflix series, so this could be completely incorrect. Did you know that the cheesehead, the Packers, is a publicly owned
Yeah.
team?
They're a publicly owned team. They have
Yeah.
hundreds of owners. Everybody can put in a few bucks and
How
yeah,
cool
be
is
a
that?
part. Yeah, it's
Like
one
My
of the
racehorse of football?
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say
Yeah,
the
exactly.
same
No, yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
Right.
literally gonna say the same thing, Sarah. It's a my racehorse of football. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so Matthew, you're the last of the three we haven't heard. Have we heard
Yeah.
yours? Who's your NFL?
EAGLES, Eagles. All the way.
Philly.
Grew up outside of Philadelphia. I'm a Philly sports fan through and through. Flyers, Sixers, Phillies, Eagles. They give me heartburn. They give me headaches. I cannot watch the games live because I say and throw objects I say just awful things at my television, and I throw objects, and it's just not pretty. And so I very calmly will watch horse racing and then just periodically check on the phone to see how the team is doing and mumble something to myself and go back to watching horse racing. And then I'll watch the highlights later.
Nice.
But yeah, when they were like just blowing a 21-point lead to the Lions yesterday, I'm like, idiots. And so I'm just like losing my mind, but love the Eagles. And yeah. And so even though I've moved around a lot in my life, I've always stayed true to the hometown teams. And, but I will say, kind of like Gino with the Rams, I'm also a 49ers fan because my ex-wife was a huge 49ers fan. And so I just kind of like became one as well. And so they're a team that I can like just follow and kind of root for. And I still like them. Even though we're divorced, I still root for them. And so I didn't like suddenly go like, death to the 49ers. And so, but yeah, I like, if they lose, there's no skin off my back. But like, if they win, I'm like, oh, good for the Niners. So it's nice.
That's fair. So my family became Eagles fans when Donovan McNabb.
Because of Syracuse.
Yeah, because of Syracuse. So it was like training camp and all this different stuff. But then as soon as he it was like, all right, we're done. I don't think
they
they're
just
Eagles
started
anymore.
loading.
Yeah,
right
they
now.
just started. All right.
And Matt, you're in some trouble because I bet two teams this year to win the Super Bowl as a future. I picked 2 teams that are big prices earlier on, and one of them was the Eagles. So you're in some serious trouble with the way my luck's been going.
Although after yesterday, after Dak Prescott hurt himself, the NFC East is right there.
And their price has dropped a ton since I bet them. So I feel really good about the number. I got them at like twice what they are right now. I think they're 13-1. I played them at like 26. So
no.
Okay, I'm volunteering as tribute here because I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off of my terrible call the last time.
Do it.
All right. Do it.
Just the stage that we're at. Okay, so they're all in the gate. Melisandre, the 5-horse, just went in. They're all straightening their heads here. We've got 5-horse field, $40,000, Manitoba Matron Stakes, and they're off. Pretty much a clean break here. Looks like they're all. Oh, we've got the 1 spun line out front, and they're all kind of finding their strides here. Nobody is blowing to the front. We've got a little bit of a strong hold on the 3, Texas Rain. The 2 is on the inside. Texas Rain is hot and heavy here. So the 2, Ain't She Darling, is third back. 5 just got a nose in front of her. That's Melisandre. And then the 4 is bringing up the stretch, big stretch. So 1, spun line, is out in front, with Texas Rain, the 3-horse, close behind, maybe a length back. A couple lengths back from there is the 5, Melisandre. You've got the 4 out wide, still bringing up the field, and then the 2's on the inside, dueling it with Melisandre. And then we still have spun line, very comfortable. Jock's kind of taking a look back, seeing who's behind. We've got Texas Rain still in the 2nd position, kind of ready to go, but the jock still got a little bit of a hold there. And then still back to the 2, Ain't She Darling, but your 4, big stretch, is starting to make a move, 3 wide, with Melisandre in the middle, kind of just hanging out, relaxing there. Spun line still in front. Texas Rain still in 2nd, just a length behind. Texas Rain is being asked a little bit here by the jock. Spun line still just sitting quiet, got enough to give here for sure. But your 4, big stretch, is now coming up on Texas Rain, coming around the turn. Texas Rain has been asked with the crop. Big stretch coming around. You've got spun line with a clear lead here. Texas Rain is definitely tired, so dropping to 3rd there. And then big stretch is up for 2nd. The question is, can Melisandre get up for 3rd over the 3? It doesn't look like it. So spun line wins another one. Texas Rain. Oh, hold on here. Big stretch 2nd, Texas Rain 3rd. The 2-horse, Ain't She Darling, and then Melisandre to bring up the rear. Well, that's spun line maybe, but kind of disappointed in Melisandre. Anybody else?
Just not the trip that I was expecting for her. They seemed really content with not wanting to go to the lead. Like they were really grabbing a hold early on. And like we said, from that outside post, you have to be going in with if I want to get to the lead, I got to go hard. Because if they asked for some speed, she probably would have been able to sit 2nd in here pretty comfortably, at least, because spun line showed some speed from the rail. So yeah, just sort of different tactics than I was expecting with Melisandre, and a little
they gave that race to the 1. They really did. I mean, like, you saw the 3 wanted to go, and the jockey ripped her head back and was like,
I know there were 2 or 3 going like this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go. If you burn out, you burn out. You burned out anyway. Might as well go.
Exactly. No, I was
you burn out. Go.
I was gonna say that nobody's reading the HRN reports at Assiniboia apparently, or not in the jocks room. But I was kind of befuddled. I mean, because that was a pretty. I mean, that was not a fast opening stretch. I mean, they weren't visually blazing out of the gates. At least visually,
see the way they were moving.
I mean, the lead was there for the taking.
That was it.
Yeah, the lead was there for the taking, and the 1 took it, and that was it. I mean, that race was over 10 seconds into the race, if that. So, that's one of those where, I mean, I think I even heard you go, "Oh no," under your breath, because
I couldn't even hide anymore.
I was like, I watched that with Melisandre, and I was like, "Oh, this is over," because she was going to be stalking wide, and then even the jockey for Melisandre didn't even at one point she was clearly in that. She was number 3, and she had cleared the 4 and the other 2 horses behind her, and she still was 3 wide going into the first turn. I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
you could have crossed over.
There was no effort to tuck in at all, and really could have done so. And the fact that she finished behind the 2-horse, I mean,
shouldn't have happened.
when I was working at Islands as a waiter, one of my first jobs, one of the things they would always tell me if they saw me messing around or slowing down, it's all about the urgency, Gino. It's all about urgency. When I was watching this race, that's the opposite of urgency that I felt with like everybody else there. So urgency is the word.
I'll say this as the race caller of that race. I was like, wow, this one feels like it's never ending. I did not take into account that this is the longest
mile and
race.
race.
Yeah. I'm like, gosh, like every other one that people are calling, it's like it's one and done. And I'm like, then they're going around another turn.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have a whole lot of movement in the race either. So it's like in the same thing as before. And they're in the same spot as they were.
At least I didn't lose a horse this time. I was like, the last one, I was like, where'd the 5 go? I can't even find the 5. Like,
it was a 5-horse field too. So it's like, it's one thing when you're doing the Derby and it's an out, mile and a quarter, and you got 20 horses to get through by first call, and but yeah, with 5, you're like, okay, well, I've already gone over this like 3 times, and they're still getting out of the first turn. So
mad props to the race callers out there. Mad props to anybody in this industry. So it looks like the public was pretty spot on here. So your spun line, of course, now it went off at 4-5. The second horse, Big Stretch, landed at 7-2, and then the third finisher, Texas Rain, was 4-1. Again, we just kind of talked about a little bit of a disappointing run from Melisandre, but Ain't She Darlin' finished at 7-1 in 4th place. If you had Ain't She Darlin', which I'm sure a lot of Stable Duel players had, not a bad value pick there. I think 750 is what she was. Is that right? 750, I think. Yep. So not a bad value pick. In a short field. You just hope that everybody didn't pick it, but I'm sure a fair amount did. So so that was race 2. That was the stakes race. So Spunline got stakes win of potentially more than $12,000 according to the conditions.
I don't even try to understand the conditions most of the time.
I know this. I'm trying.
Yeah.
In a stakes race like that, they're a little difficult. Like sometimes you can see things that really stand out to you. When like horses that haven't won a race since this date. A lot of times you'll see like a horse or their barn perfectly has that race circled because they won a race 3 days before that date, right? Like they fit the conditions of a race beautifully. So those are things I try to look at. But yeah, sometimes they can be a little overwhelming. I have to run in just a minute, but I was so happy to hang out with everybody. Go ahead.
Can I keep you on for one teaser that no one knows about, and I'm going to play? And
I've got 5 minutes. I've got 5 minutes.
It's 30 seconds.
Well, so then we've got 4 extra minutes. So go ahead. Yeah.
So I'm going to drop a teaser right now of something that is coming up and is very exciting. October 2nd in the Stable Duel app. It is free to play, and there's over $2,000 worth of prizes. It's very exciting. So here's your teaser, folks.
Today, Foxfield and its new leadership ride into a new era, supporting long-term community partnerships, engaging attendance in inclusive ways, and improving the spectator experience. Foxfield welcomes you as we continue to race each fall and spring. Decades of memories have been made on this track. Come and see what new memories we can make together at Foxfield.
Okay, so Steeplechase is coming to the Stable Duel app October 2nd. We're doing a free-to-play game with over $2,000 worth of prizes just for the one game. So just get ready. We're going to do a bunch of stuff leading up, but I wanted to drop that and give a shout-out to Foxfield Races. Really
What's
exciting.
The date time on that one?
October 2nd. So before Keeneland starts.
Nice.
So this is like your pregame to Keeneland, and it's on a Sunday. So, hangover from Saturday is built in to just sitting there and enjoying steeplechase racing in the Stable Duel app. So
I love it.
Nice.
This isn't my neck of the woods?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm making you go.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Awesome.
I have a description, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make somebody go," and he wears a hat that he'll fit in perfectly.
Yeah, this is the hat. I got this at Fox Country, so or Horse Country, I should say. So no, that'll be great. Anybody who watched that teaser and didn't go, "Oh," when they showed all the dogs, just has no heart and soul.
Yeah, I was like, can I bet on the dogs?
Someday. Foxfield, what in the world is this? Yes, steeplechasing, and it's in Virginia. If anybody wants to go to the event, hit us up at support@stableduel.com. We'll send out information. But yeah,
Okay. I'll be watching some National Velvet to get me kind of pumped up and ready
Right?
before. Absolutely. Yes, I love it. So awesome.
right,
Steeplechase coming. Thank you so much. And I have just like 2 more weeks of doing stuff at Louisiana. So I'm always happy to come help you guys out Monday nights and hang out anytime you want. And make sure to come check us out every Friday. Sarah, we got to get you on there one weekend with us, with me and Matt and the Sniper. We play, we talk all about the weekend Stable Duel schedule. We give you all the details on the contest for Friday, Saturday, and then we give out a couple best bets for each. And the only horses we give out are 5-1 plus. So all we're looking for are big prices. We want to make sure to help you, give you a few for your Stable Duel lineups, a few to bet to win, throw in your pick fours and stuff. So thank you so much for letting me hang out with everyone tonight. Have a good rest of your Monday. Good luck to everyone in your lineups. You're all doing better than me so far, so at least you have that going. Like, you're welcome. So you're welcome.
Thanks,
Tino.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right.
All right, and down to the 3 of us.
I got to shout out myself. I gave out Bran on the show last week, and Bran, just baffling 11-1 odds you got at Kentucky Downs to win. I absolutely love that horse, and I don't understand why nobody else was on that horse. But
See,
oh well.
I'm salty because I did a whole segment that I debuted on horses that I think will outrun their odds for the upcoming weekend races. And one of the ones that I talked about was Gregorian Chant, who Grant had been facing multiple times over and over again. Gregorian Chant 10-1 on the morning line, so fits my criteria of 10-1 and over. Bran was 6-1 on the morning line. Gregorian Chant scratches, Bran's in, and then goes off at 11-1. I'm like, well, if this was how this was going to go, I would have talked about this horse. So,
I hear you.
I included in my pick 5s that didn't cash, but I was like, that would have been nice to discuss because this horse made a ton of sense. I mean, imagine if the horse that kept beating him over and over again was in there.
Yeah. No, Gregorian Chant was the other one that made a ton of sense from it was from a Stable Duel standpoint. And so that Kentucky Downs card was really thrown off by a lot of scratches too. That changed the race complexion, particularly in that Delika race a lot.
I was so glad
cannot get a break. I mean, it's how many they've canceled 2 or 3 of their 7 days.
Yeah,
it was like a whole day, and then most of the card 2 days. Yeah, I keep trying to go, and then it's like, oh, rain all day. Like, I'll sit at home. Like, I'm good.
I should have roped you into opening day with me because that's when I went. And the weather was nice at least.
I might go on Wednesday. We'll see how my work week goes, but yeah,
it'll be good. And is it closer to Louisville? I'm trying to think here. No, it's about.
I think it's like 2 hours.
Yeah, maybe a little closer because I think it's 2.5 from Lexington.
Yeah.
So, please being mad at Matt. Dennis is starting fights with us, and we're supposed to be included, but I'm not understanding.
Dennis, I'm not mad yet. Maybe I will be later. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how the stable goes for tonight.
All right, let's see where we're at here. So race 3, we're only 9 minutes away. So here's what we're going to do. We'll probably, just because football is on, we'll probably get up to race 4 because it's Kyle's 30 and Dirty. And
we got to
talk about that.
And and I don't know if you saw the other. So it says Kyle's 30 and Dirty, and then it says May the 4th be with you. So they might be
on September 12th. Like, all right, fine. Like, it's one thing to do like.
Well, it's the 4th race. May the 4th. I know.
Oh, maybe okay.
So I'm wondering if they're big. And gosh, that slapped me. Star Wars, right? Star Wars fans. You can tell that I am not a Star Wars fan.
I wonder if you know about Baby Yoda.
I was just going to say, I know Baby Yoda the horse, but I have not actually ever seen Baby Yoda from the series.
My dad has 3 Baby Yoda caricatures in his house, and he loves the horse. And he gives Andy Serling crap every time it runs because Andy Serling was like beside himself the first time that horse ran up at Saratoga because he's like, I don't understand why this horse is taking all this money. And you know how Andy gets like super blustery about stuff. And it's like, dumbass, it's the name. Like, and nobody gives a crap about this horse's running lines. It's betting because it's got a cute name. And Andy like just couldn't wrap his head around like the fact that people were betting on this horse for the name. And then the horse wins, and Andy was just like, oh, it didn't make any sense. And I'm like, well, tough shit, So,
well, it's like I'll have another. I mean, come on.
Right,
I'll have another was blown out in odds just because of Kentucky Derby with I'll have another. And
yeah, exactly.
it was a good day for many. Good day for many. Okay, so we're 8 minutes to post, but they're still in the paddock. Saddles are on, but no jocks. So claiming 3,500, 5 furlongs here. 5 furlongs is actually shortening up for some horses. So if you want to talk about shortening up, Not Afraid is scratched. So we are looking at a 5-horse field in this one as well. The Empowerment Girls Race is what this is called from ASD's free PPs, in case no one knows that they can get free PPs. Matthew, what do we think in this one? Do you have a huge, absolute?
I do, and that's where the money's going right now too. But Wits Coco, the number 6 horse, who's 4-1 on the morning line, and is now even money currently. It was where I went, and I think this is one where I really paid attention to the jockey change. So it was interesting that Carreno, who's the leading jockey in Assiniboia, left the number 1 horse, which is also trained by Jared Brown, to go to the 6 horse, which is trained by Jared Brown. This horse is 3 for 4 winning at this distance, 5 for 9 winning at Assiniboia. Only bad effort this year was going a mile, which this horse is not doing. And otherwise, this horse is 3 for 3 in 2022, running 5 or 5.5 furlongs. Gets that outside post position. Just absolutely love the way this race sets up for the 6. So that was one that was just automatic use in my stable.
I agree with that. Definitely automatic use in my particular stable duel. Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, we agree. I think that's the fun or not so fun thing about having Matt and I on, is that we see races pretty similarly most of the time, whether we're right or we're wrong. I just didn't really fully trust Contraband. This was one where I wanted to try to beat the morning line favorite at least, and money's showing up like crazy for the 6 horse Wits Coco, going for the 3rd win in a row. First off the claim, I mean, the horse just shows up and wins. I thought that Contraband might take a little bit of pressure from the 2 Bridologist early if these jockeys decide to actually go and use the speed of their horses, unlike the last race, which they might because this is a shorter distance. I think we're just looking at the horse that kind of makes the most sense and is the most consistent of this group, and the money is certainly showing right now.
Okay, well, so are you ready for something super savage about the 6 horse and then 2 horses in the 4th race?
Tell us.
So anything with Wits that is at Assiniboia is bred by Henry Witt. So what this man must do is he must name them and maybe get a race in them. So usually you can't change the name after a race, or if you can, it's kind of a headache. But and then he sells them. So his name is on all of his horses, even if he doesn't own them. But he does, because it doesn't look like he owns any of the Wits. He doesn't own Wits Coco, that's sold to somebody else. Wits Magic, the 2 horse in race 4, bred by Henry Witt. Nope, he owns that one. And then the Wits Memories, the 6 horse, is only bred by him and somebody else owns. A little savage. That's like stamping your children and then
sending them out among the world. Yeah.
They're like, it's mine, but I don't want it.
Right? Like the tattoo or like a hip brand or something. Like,
yeah, you can never change it, but I'm not racing it. Yeah. So whenever you see Wits.
I will say I did use a 2nd horse in this race just for transparency. I used the 4 in this race as well, which was Fair Challenge, 12 to 1 on the morning. Yeah, 12 to 1 on the morning line, only $750. And this is a horse that's dropping down in class a little bit as well. And this is a horse that, had been running optional claimers, $7,500 claimers, $5,000 claimers, now running a $3,500 claimer. So, like I said, dropping down in class a little bit, I thought, you could do worse, certainly for $750. And again, a lot of times I like to balance out, the beauty of when you double up at Assiniboia, I rarely ever double up with 2 horses that are $5,000 or more. If I double up, it's a $7,000 horse with a $750 horse. It's a $9,000 horse with a $1,000 horse. So that's, I like to try to keep things about on average.
So Keith is a Wits fan. He's got all 3 Wits in his stable. It was just fun thing to notice. Yeah, so back to Fair Challenge. So that was definitely one of my value picks at 12 to 1. If people look at speed figures, I know Sarah and I do, and I did the free PPs from Assiniboia Downs, so I think these are Equibase based. Speed figures actually line up with, I mean, who we aren't trusting here is Contraband, but you know, you've got an 89 with Contraband, you have a 46 the race before that. I mean, you're looking at a 56 from Fair Challenge last time out, and an 81 and a $7,500 claimer the one before that, 71, 81. So if we care about speed figures and you want to bring that in, with a 12-to-1 value play, Fair Challenge is not a bad one to double up. So I double up. I would double up in my stable duel here with Witzco Go and Fair Challenge as well.
With speed figures, and since you're bringing up Equibase, do we kind of have to talk about the Equibase speed figure that went out for Flightline that was then retracted?
Whoops.
That was so embarrassing, and the fact that people were trying to carry water for this.
By it,
yeah,
were embarrassed.
That was embarrassing.
Well, and something to note, because I'm pretty sure the Equibase is the one speed figure that is not human manipulated. Period. It's only data. So DRF like brings in like the tailwind tailwind. I don't know what it's called, but some of the other speed figures like have a human thought process to them of, you know, what happened in the race. Equibase, I'm pretty sure, is complete data-based. So I'm interested. I saw like some of the bishing, if you will, but I didn't look too much far into it. But that one is only computer-based. So does it make you think that the computer-based is not the ones to go by?
Right. I mean, that's the question, and I think, you know, I saw Dennis had a comment about, you know, that he I guess hadn't seen this, but people hadn't. There's a lot of hubbub because the initial speed figure on Equibase for Flightline's truly jaw-dropping historic performance in the Pacific Classic was to give him the exact same Equibase speed figure that the third place finish of Hot Rod Charlie got in the Whitney. Those two things, I always think of that song that you teach kids, like, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Like, it was just like, what the bleep are you doing? And so, yeah. And they kind of tried to defend the number for a while, stand by it, and then they revised it this week.
What did they say? What was the defense?
I didn't see the statement. I just saw they revised it. So, Sarah,
you saw it. Come on. What'd they say?
I mean, I don't have like the statement memorized, but I basically screenshotted it and I sent it to Ed, and I was like, in parentheses, I just said, we realized that we were called out, and like left it at that. Like Matthew said, I think sometimes you have to look at all of these numbers and data and really anything at all in life and be like, does this make sense?
Yeah.
Does this make sense to me based on what I feel like I saw? And in just a broad sense of whatever that means, and whatever, you could be talking about anything. When the answer is very much so no. And then people being like, well, the number says, it's like, no, like people have to be able to put on their critical thinking hats and be like, this is ridiculous and doesn't make sense at all. So
yeah,
I think then Equibase was like, oh, yikes. Maybe we should take another look at this.
Yeah.
Take it down.
And not just to beat up on Equibase. I remember last year, and really, I mean, these figures are still up, but I remember there was a lot of talk that the speed figures coming out of Saratoga last summer were kind of inflated, that they didn't hold up that well. When, I mean, the Baby Yoda 114, right? You know, the horse, you know, that just some of those figures in some of the big races at Saratoga last year, there seemed to be a pretty significant drop off after those horses got off the track at Saratoga. So it happens sometimes, but you know, that's why you have to pay more attention than just blindly going, well, that horse has the highest speed figure. You have to look at pace, and you have to kind of look at track biases potentially and things like that. So, yeah. Well,
and now there's the whole debate about fractions and timing of, are the fractions correctly timed? They're the run up at Kentucky Downs, I saw complaints of. A lot of this is over my head, to be honest, but yeah, there's a lot that, you know, any industry can improve on. But I don't know, in a way, at least opinion wise, that's what makes this industry great. You've got to have an opinion somewhere. So if you don't like what this person says, great, go somewhere else on your opinion, and hopefully you hit, and you know, hit the pick six that nobody else did. Like, welcome to horse racing.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I was just going to say, for a really long time, like, I didn't even know what a speed figure was. I didn't even know how to read the form. It was just like I would watch replays, and there's a lot more information that you get by kind of assessing these races with an actual number now. And that's why, obviously I can look at more races and be able to handicap different tracks. And there's just, you rely on the data more when you have to do so many different things and you don't have the time to go through each individual horse and be like, what's going on here? But to be able to still have some success wagering outside of never looking at the form and never looking at a speed figure, you have to understand too that like these figures and these numbers don't tell you the whole story, and they never will.
Right. Yeah. And we touched on that with clockers and workouts, and I mean, there's so much to these animals, to the jockeys even. I've seen some people that they don't care at all about the jockeys. I very much care about who's riding who, because I do think a jock can make or break a race. Not in a bad way. I'm not shitting on jockeys at all. But, depending on, is this rider an aggressive rider? Is this one really good with 2-year-olds? There's some differences to be had with some of the riders. So there's a lot. Yeah.
Like, is Joel Rosario riding Warlike Goddess? I don't know. Maybe if he is, maybe you don't want to bet on the 1-5 favorite. I don't know.
Joel, this is the year of the Joel, like, just people love. No, they don't.
Has it always been like this?
No,
That's
they
what I
don't.
want to know.
He's always been like this. The highs are so high with him, but the lows are so befuddling because the highs are so high. Like, he's so talented and he shows it off sometimes, and then he just turns in these rides where he's, what is he doing? It's so frustrating. But I mean, he won what, like 13 stakes races at Saratoga or something like that. So I mean, he's cashing checks. So.
Yeah, for sure. And it's good to see. It's very good to see Ricardo Santana back. I know he had a rough year after one of his best friends passed away, and I think people. I'll be honest, as much as we try to have empathy in the back of our brains at all times, it's very, very hard because you never know what's going on in someone's life. And so I just thought he was just off his game, not even putting two to two together. But when he, made that statement, it made perfect sense. But I'm very happy to see him back in his prime. And riding and doing well. So shout out to that one.
Yeah. No, he's tuning in tonight. He watches.
Yeah, Ricardo Santana's watching us instead of Monday Night Football or anything else.
Of course they're watching us, guys. Yeah.
Who wouldn't be?
So they are. Right. They're approaching the gate. I'll be tribute this race. So. But they're coming up, and Assiniboia, did they get they painted their starting gate? Maybe it's all pink. It's like a hot pink. I don't know.
It did just
for Kyle.
To me.
Oh, it probably is Kyle's 30 and 30. I love it. So so they're still trotting around behind the gate, looks like. And just to remind everybody, this is a 5.5 furlong, Bree, is that right?
5 furlong, $3,500 claimer. Yep.
So
this is the short. I think the shortest one on the card. We're going to 6, 7, 6, and then it closes with I printed out old school this time.
Nice. You and my dad.
Furlong.
Nice. All right.
I do like a good printout.
Yep. My dad then complains about it. He's like, I'm running out of paper and ink. And I'm like, well, you don't have to print these out. Like, you can just look at them on your computer.
I made a rule in our office that no one was allowed to print it out except if you were doing a live stream. That was it. Like, no printing PPs unless you're doing a live stream. You can look at your computer, which of course I was the only one doing live stream. So it was a really not nice move, but it's okay.
All right. Here they are. They're loading them in. I think we have 4 in at this point. Getting the 5th one in, leading Wits Coco, who is the 4-5 favorite come post time, into the stall. My feed is like lagged by half a second behind what you guys are watching, and they're off. A little bit of bumping between the 1 and 2 there coming out of the gate, but the 5 Contraband flashes significant early speed, gets out to lead by about 2 lengths over both Wits Coco and the number 2 Birdologist, who we've not really spoken about at all. but is a gray horse, so I'm sure people bet on it. But anyway, Contraband continuing to lead them into the far turn. Birdologist sitting second. Wits Coco sitting outside of that horse on third, and driving Contraband, though, under a pretty easy ride at this point. And much further back, you have Drizzy and the 4 Fair Challenge. Now turning for home, Contraband is going to be confronted, it looks like, by Wits Coco if there's any chance, but Contraband continues to pull away. Wits Coco digging in on the far outside of the track. Coming late with a run is the number 1 Drizzy, but it's not going to be enough as Contraband wins over Wits Coco by about a length and a half, followed by Drizzy, and then our Fair Challenge, the number 4 horse, did get up for 4th place over Birdologist.
This is a beautiful example of why Watch the Board is a bunch of nonsense.
I agree. Yeah.
Drizzy.
Yep.
Yeah, I just wrote down next to Drizzy, super unreliable was my note.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah. But that was one that was over from the start. I mean, Contraband just broke so clean and so fast. I mean, that was, not to compare him to this horse, but I mean, it reminded me a little bit of like a Golden Pal sort of situation where it's like, oh, the horse is 4 lengths clear before like 100 yards out. And it's like, okay, well, this race is done. So especially at 5 furlongs. So, but Wits Coco, I can live with a 2nd place finish. It was only 7,000, which isn't a great ROI, but it's not terrible. It's not going to kill you.
Well, realistically, again, you could have paid for the 9 to 5 with Contraband. We took a stab at the $7,000 for Wits Coco, which ended up being exactly how the race kind of shook out. So,
yeah, I think stable deal wise, you picked the right one as far as the value in the race. But betting on this race pari-mutually, I mean, you got a steal, pun intended, with Contraband and Wits Coco, 4 to 5. That was horse was not worth 4 to 5.
No, and I wouldn't have used Wits Coco at 4 to, I wouldn't have used Wits Coco at 8 to 5 probably. So yeah, I mean, there was definitely a level at which I was like, oh, that's no good.
Dennis with the dad jokes tonight. Dennis, you're killing it, man. Killing it.
He's trying to redeem Louisville's performance from this past weekend. Did
you have that winner?
No, we both had Wits Coco, I think, in this one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, I was asking this one over here, asking him if he had it. And like he said, he also had the 2 as well. The 2 was Birdologist, the gray. Gave me a little thrill, but then faded. Well,
70+% of people had number 6 Wits Coco.
Yeah,
73%.
Yeah, I mean, that felt like the most logical. Like that was, I think, one of the first horses I was like, plus. Like I just added that horse. Like I was like, okay, I'll go from there.
He did have the steal. Contraband, nicely done.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. No, absolutely. So I know I'm sitting in, Sarah, what position are you sitting in on the contest?
I am in 36th, and I see that you are in 16th.
Yeah.
I follow like less than 5 people on here, but you're one of them, so I can find you very quickly.
I'm honored. First of all, let me say that. So I also follow you on here. And that's actually one of the cool things we should mention about Stable Duel, like being able to follow other people's stables, I think is really fun. A bunch of us on Twitter who all do it. We all, Phil B, got to give a shout out to him. He's always so great about entering and love following him. Following each and every stride, follow Keith all the time, follow Colin, guys like that. So not just following the people at the top of the leaderboard, your Michaels, your no need to call it, but following just your friends. I think it's a lot of fun to see, how they're doing on the race. And sometimes you can have these like internal wagers about who's going to do best out of, who's left. So,
and to that, you can also follow horses. So for the Big Tony fans, you can click and follow and be alerted when he's entered so you can play him in games. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of like a virtual stable. So In wants to know who's your top 5 follows in the Stable Duel app, Sarah.
All right, let's see. Who do I follow? I'm going to name some people now. I follow Domable, who we've talked to on here before. I follow Matthew. I follow No Need to Call It. I follow Gino. And then I think I follow my friend who just played her first game the other day, and I think that's it.
That's fun. That's 5 on the dot, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I mean,
Well,
I'd
let's like
Big competition, so I got to see how they're all doing.
we almost had a feature that we would tell you if they entered, but we thought that was too. Yeah, we're like,
Yeah.
no, we won't do that.
Yeah.
So,
And also there's like a lot of contests and a lot of, so you get like a lot of notifications if that happens.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
cause I think I follow like 37 people or something like that. So I follow a lot, but,
Yeah.
including my sister, Now Watch Me Whip, which is one of my favorite stable names.
I love this stable name.
And then my dad, of course, Gran Babito, which is named after the family dog. So
I might follow your dad too. I'm not sure.
yeah, which
Maybe make it
would. Yeah, which Grand Babito or Babbitt is the horse's name, but is a King Charles, which is now appropriately named horse or appropriately named dog. Now that we have King Charles III over in England.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
So
King Charles. Well, it looks like there's a unfamiliar name, at least on my end. Buffalo Greg 714 is sitting in first place in tonight's Assiniboia Downs. So he had 6 horses between the first 2 races. So he is very top heavy, which, who knows, could still pay out for him. He had Fair Challenge in that one, which was the value pick that Matthew and I spoke about. He's got Giddy Up Zoe. And if you click on the leaderboard, click on that particular stable name, you can see who's in their stable and see, kind of who he has left there as well. An update is coming where it's actually going to tell you on the leaderboard how many horses they have left. So you can see it on the leaderboard without having to click.
That'll be really nice.
And we'll also have the payouts on the leaderboard as well. So lots of fun stuff. She's a rock star too. This is somebody that is near and dear to my heart because they played literally since Stable Duel has launched. And She's a Rock Star too is a filly that they own and race in West Virginia. So they named it after their stable after their racehorse. So that was really cool. Yeah.
By the way, Bree, you were missed at Charlestown. I just want to let you know that. Multiple people came up to me and said, "Oh, Bree's not here. It's too bad. I remember she was here last year."
You're like, hi.
But rest assured, they still had the beer stein holding contest.
Did they?
Yes, they still did. And they had they still had the couple who did like the flaming fireballs and all that other stuff. So they I
got good riding socks from them. Literally Fireball. They're like tall socks that I use to ride. So here I am like at a horse show with a Fireball sock.
Yeah, it was. I'll say, Sarah, I don't know if you've ever been to Chucktown, but it's worth a trip.
Yet.
It's worth a trip. It's a really fun track.
It is.
Really nice people too.
You can stay at the hotel. The hotel gets expensive for that particular night or that weekend, but most of the time the hotel is pretty darn cheap, and it's right on the back, not the back side, but it's the back side of the track. But the actual back side is where the top
on the third turn, the fourth turn.
Yeah, on the third turn. Yeah, it's on the third turn. Yeah.
But anyway, so you can actually, if you get a balcony, you can look out and see the horses training from the balcony. It's like Maidan, but in West Virginia.
The same.
It's just like Maidan.
Art collectors in both. It's great.
Totally the same. Yeah, no, Charlestown, especially for their big weekend, that's a really fun track to go to. I had a blast Ohio Derby Day at Thistledown. I really enjoyed that race, as well. Bet from your phone for the last race though, because they have like 3 windows. So you'll wait there forever, but love that track as well. I'm trying to think what other small tracks. Haven't been to Parks, but Pennsylvania Derby is coming up on the 24th.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Are you going to be there?
Yeah, second year in a row. So I'll be there. I know Andrew's going to be there. I'm going to see him while I'm up there. I got my East Coast horse player buddies that I'll be up there with as well. So no, Parks it's a nice track. I mean, it's a casino attached, so similar vibe to some extent to Charlestown.
I have to go to a wedding that weekend, unfortunately.
People that schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I've known about it for months, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
What is one of the smaller racetracks that you have been to, Sarah, and you really like?
It's a good question. Pimlico several years ago, like I was a teenager, was quite the experience when you go on a day that is not the Preakness. It is a very small, timey sort of track. And then this year I've been to the new Horseshoe Indianapolis, and I got there and I was like, where's the admission gate? And I was like, oh, they actually want you to go. You don't have to pay to get in. This is so cool.
Most racinos are like that. Actually, I'll say that's why I got super surprised by Kentucky Downs. They went the other furthest extreme, because some of the complaints are always with racinos. It's like, well, what if you want to watch the races and you don't want to hang out with the casino crowd? That's why people don't want to go. I'm not going to lie. I have become the complete degenerate mold where I want to hang out with the casino crowd and go to the races. But so Kentucky Downs has separated it so much that if you're in the casino, you are nowhere near the finish line, which I think is a little bit of a bummer. But the racing side, if you do the proper ticketing, is gorgeous. And they've done a really good job there. So I feel like, though, we got to like find the middle ground. Like one of these race casinos has got to find the middle ground of, you know, and actually Indiana might be that perfect example. I think they do a great job.
Yeah. And Laurel, which is right up the road from me in Maryland, like that's also free admission and there's no casino attached or anything like that. Like it's just a standalone racetrack. So they do have a really nice sports book inside and kind of simulcast. But I'm kind of the same way where sometimes I'll go up to tracks like Sarah and I'll be like, oh, how much do I owe? And like, just please come in. And I'm like, oh, okay. Excellent. I will do that.
I can walk right in. I will say going to Canterbury, they do a really good job of kind of keeping like the cards players and then also the racing separate, and people actually go to Canterbury. I mean, I went on a pretty busy weekend, but the crowd was huge.
So in says Prairie Meadows, I've got to check that one out.
Yep.
Dennis was talking about Belterra. I don't think I've been to Belterra. Yeah. All right. We'll have to check both those out. All right, guys, let's do a giveaway here before Kyle's 30 and Dirty, which is the 4th race. We'll probably just do the 4th race on the live stream and let you all handle on your own 5, 6, and 7. But let's get a giveaway here because we're thankful that you've tuned in. So in the comments, Colin just said I missed Suffolk Downs. I've never seen Suffolk Downs, but a lot of people do. So that's like one for my homies for Suffolk Downs. We'll go look for. So in the comments, guys, for race 4, again, Kyle's 30 and Dirty. May the 4th race be with you. Comment who you're on, whether it's stable duel or you're doing a pari-mutuel bet. Bet to win, play show, doesn't matter. We just want to know what horse you're on in race 4. This is a claiming $10,000 so you got to put yourself on the line here before we put ourselves out here. But this is the 2 Wits race, and we're looking at 6 horses. 1, Miss Langskip. 2, Wits Magic. Giddy Up Zoe is the 3 horse. Sunday Suzanne is the 4. Scarlet Flower is the 5, and Wits Memory is the 6. So if you're listening, just let us know what horse you're on, and then from your picks, we will do the wheel, and we'll pick somebody to win either a t-shirt or a hat, or maybe one of both, because why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, well, we got a scratch here too, the 5 scratch. Just kidding. So not that one. Sarah, who do you like in Kyle's 30 and Dirty?
I doubled up in here because this is a shorter field. I went with the 1 Miss Langskip as well as the 4 Sunday Suzanne. Sunday Suzanne was my most inexpensive, since we're using that word, horse of the evening. And I feel like I chose a decent one, at least based on where the board is going, although who knows what's actually going to happen out on the racetrack, with this horse being 25-1 on the morning line and now being 7-2. And then if you look at the pick 3 Will Pays, this horse is actually not at all the longest shot on the board. It's actually the 3rd choice. So I feel like I got a steal. We'll see what happens as far as stable dual money. And then with the 1 horse, I mean, this is another horse that's faced Mia Bear. And I think that Mia Bear is kind of like our yardstick with which to measure the rest of the horses at Assiniboia, because we all kind of just know that she's that good. So any horse that's faced her, I'll throw a longer look at, because I think that they can be more competitive against lesser company.
All right, Matthew, what about you?
Yeah, so this is one where I actually I just went with one horse, and I even debated skipping this race entirely. For some reason, I just had a hard time figuring this race out because I think the 1 and 3 could really go at each other up front, and I'm just worried if that happens because those are the two favorites, and on paper they're very obvious choices. I really like the one quite a bit. Everything Sarah said, I agree with. I was just worried about the way the race might play out because the one's going to have to go from that inside position. The 3 naturally is going to go. And if they start to wear each other out, then I worry about the kind of race falling to pieces and maybe them losing. And so I didn't want to spend over $9,000 on a horse that might end up fading. So I actually went to the far outside to Witt's Memory because this is, of course, the Witt race. And so 12 to 1. And I figured this was a race where I just didn't want to spend a lot of money. So it's similar logic to Sarah picking the 4. I just didn't want to spend up in this race. So I just went with the 6. And I think the 6 would benefit from early speed. And so I think, has a nice outside post position to be able to draw in and get a nice spot behind those 1 and 3 horses and hopefully can sit a decent trip and make a run at the end.
Okay, picking up what you're putting down. We can look at current odds right now. So Miss Langskip. Gosh, I'm not calling this one Sarah. This one's all you, sister.
Yes, I am. Right.
Is 9 to 5 currently. Witt's Magic has been bet down to 7 to 1. We're looking at the 3 here, Giddy Up Zoe, which I think Dennis just said he likes, 9 to 5. 4 Sunday Suzanne from 25 to 1 down to 4 to 1. And Witt's Memory is 5 to 1. Again, shorter field. So when you have one scratch in this, that already can manipulate the odds quite a lot, public opinion. And we're seeing that right here. So doesn't really help us in Stable Duel because there was already some short, pricey things to choose from in general. But I'm with Sarah on this one. I like Miss Langskip if I was picking a price. And then definitely this is one of those that because it was a shorter field needed to find value. And to me, it was a complete toss up between either Witt. And I don't know that I ever settled on one of the perfect one. I think it was a 250 or 750, but they're both like womp womp. That's why Henry got rid of them. Henry gave them to somebody else.
No, he only got rid of one of them, I thought. I think Henry still has one, you said.
Oh, well, maybe that's the one we should have gone with.
Yeah.
The 2 with Magic. He held on.
Or
to
he just
one.
he can't find anybody to buy that horse. That's maybe, flip it around the other way. And nobody
and
wants
it's a gray. And it's a gray. So there's a lot going for it.
Yeah. So this will be interesting. I mean, I think these races are always a challenge when you see 2 really big favorites in the 3 and the 1. And then kind of everybody else. But from a betting standpoint, from pari-mutuel standpoint, it's interesting that everybody's odds have plummeted. Basically the 2 favorites are right about where they started, and then everybody else has just taken action underneath. So
well, and it's fun to see some of the popular names. Well, Giddy Up Zoe is by Verrazano, which I know that his stud fee has gone down drastically since when he first started. But the next race, you've got an Uncle Mo, a Cairo Prince, Drums of Thunder tends to. Maybe Witt owns Drums of Thunder because he's got Witt's 10-10 in race 5, and that's also a Drums of Thunder. And so we're gonna find out this guy's entire breeding program from this. I better stop before I get like a cease and desist somewhere. Okay, but there's an Into Mischief as well. I can't remember if it already. Oh yeah, Market King in the 6th race is by Into Mischief.
And Market King ran in the Preakness like 3 years ago.
I feel like that's not going to be a highlight on Into Mischief's talking points when they sell it.
That's not making the front page.
No.
Do you know?
Winner of an optional claimer 10,000 at Assiniboia. Into Mischief has produced many winners. And so,
Spendthrift is going to call the office tomorrow and be like, listen.
And the other big news today associated with Flightline was the Land's End news or Lane's End news.
So is everyone nervous that he won't run past the Pegasus if he runs in the Pegasus? I feel like that's the extent of what's happening.
I don't think he's going to run in the Pegasus even at this point. I think he's just going to run in the Classic and then
be done.
I don't know. I know Ed, Sarah, I know Ed feels kind of similarly, but I don't know if you think he's going to go to the Pegasus still or not.
If he wins the Classic, what's the point? I mean,
Yeah.
what does he really have to prove? I know that they had originally talked about some interest in racing him at 5, and they said a healthy Flightline will race at 5, and that was the headline on our website and everything. Why bother? I mean, yes,
Sarah, that's the wrong attitude.
it's not my attitude. I mean, just like looking from the
Do
point
it
of
for the
view.
fans.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. If they're going to race him at 5, I feel like it would be a whole year as long as he stays healthy. Just keeping him around for the Pegasus, to me, would make no sense. It's either, I think, Classic, we're done, or all year campaign next year.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
But if he doesn't win the Classic, which would be, I mean, a very historic upset, because I don't really know who's going to beat him. Does he then have something to prove still, or I don't know.
And I'm sure Ken McPeak might have a monster out there somewhere. I don't know.
Bear, in
yeah,
fact.
he might just have a bear. I don't know. Ed, I'm sure, is going to put some money on him. But
is Ed a Kenny fan?
No, he was just a fan
Ed was a Tis the Bomb fan.
the Bomb fan.
Yeah. Ed is a big Flightline fan, though. When I asked Ed if he had any pets in racing, he said Flightline. So.
Aww. Now we need to get him like one of the like stuffed animals that the Japanese all have for their big horses or something, and he can put it up.
But I do appreciate Ed's tweets when he's like, imagine spending more than 30 seconds handicapping this race with Flightline. Imagine spending more than 30 seconds handicapping this race with Life is Good. And he's usually right. Like, I mean, and I kind of usually see it the same way. But yeah.
All right, so we've got 5 minutes to post. They just got on the track. They're doing their waltz of I guess not, I don't know. Anyways, Kyle 30 and Dirty's on the track right now. I've got 4 people that have given out their picks. So, and I know that there's more in this chat. So if you all are here and you have a pick in race 4, throw it in there so that we can potentially pick you to win some Assiniboia Down gear. You do have to live in the U.S. though. Sorry, it's a lot of money to ship somewhere else. Okay, so the leaderboard is updated, and now we have Miedu PR in first place with 200 points. Buffalo Greg has been kicked out of first, even though he got some positive on that fair challenge with plus 13 points. I got called out because I have not said Rosemary's Baby as a stable name. So Rosemary's Baby, I mean, that's a very dark stable name, but I'll call you out. And it's sitting in 7th place currently right now. So yeah, so there's already been some move, and the MM Domable is working his way up. So this is when you're like, okay, so were you just sitting quiet? But Tupaloop is tied for 10. There are a bunch of ties just because we're still early in the card. So you expect to see that kind of move around. But again, if there are ties, you'll be splitting all those places. So everybody still wins some money. So
has there ever been a tie for first?
I know I've tied for second before, but I've never tied for first.
Not that I recall.
By the way, did you see today the winning score at Horseshoe, Indiana was 506 points?
Wow.
Was it really?
Yeah. It's because of all the damn scratches. And they went off turf, and you could just pick the trifecta in 2 races like so easily. And it was a classic example of like how to just play it in Stable Duel just right. Like you don't even almost have to look at the PPs at all. You could just look at the app and be like, oh, this is only a 4-horse field. Boom, boom, boom. This is another 4-horse field. Boom, boom, boom. Like you right there, you have 250 points. And then it's just about picking a couple of other winners.
I feel like those things happen for other people, not for me. Where it's like, oh, like I just tuned into TVG and I saw that Simon picked this, so I picked it and I hit it for $75. Anytime I've ever done like a pick like that off of an analyst pick, they don't hit. And that's not to say anything against them. That's just horse racing. Anytime I've done like a namesake, it sure as shit doesn't hit. I do not get those moments at all. No, I just don't. Actually, that's not true. There was Kate Charge Brianna, and she won at Saratoga for me. And that was
that's right. I remember you. Yeah.
Everybody has their moment.
Yes. $10 moment. $10 moment. All right, what are we looking at now? So it's 2 minutes to post, so we still probably have about 5. I'm going to run this wheel, and anybody else wants to comment, which is totally fine by me. All right, hold on. Let me share the screen. Okay, so we have hats. I'm going to do one hat and a t-shirt to one lucky person, and they're all the same size t-shirts, but you can pick from white, black, gray, and they're all these fancies. Or if you're feeling light blue, you can have a horse across your chest. Yes, baby blue.
Nice.
Baby blue. All right, let me share screen. All right, we see it?
Yep, we do.
Here we go. Well. Dennis Trusty won something.
There you go.
Congrats to Dennis. Now let's see if he's still there. Hold on, let me pull this off. Stop screen share. All right, Dennis, let me know which t-shirt you want. Thanks, guys, for tuning in and playing along. We are almost to Kyle's 30 and 30, the 4th race. 6 furlongs, claiming $10,000. I
love that that's just the name of the race now.
Kyle's 30 and 30.
Presented by Kyle.
Dennis even just goes, I finally won something, and then he goes, rigged. I should take it away from you for your negativity.
There's no way.
And did you notice that Colin of the Burn? And did you notice that Dennis got the Louisville Cardinal red also on the wheel? That was his color.
Must be
so
right.
it was all meant to be.
Maybe Louisville will win a game this season just for that.
Speaking of things that people kind of thought were rigged, the horse that was in the finale at Del Mar, that was the mandatory payout day the other day, Canelo, being the only horse that was going to pay out the mandatory at Gulfstream Park a day early to one person when he last raced, I thought was just like the strangest thing ever. So I pointed it out on Twitter, like, isn't this a funny coincidence? And everyone's like, oh my God, I'm going to bet. And I'm like, hold on. Like, I only bet $5 myself. Like, I'm not saying this horse is definitely going to win.
Whoa.
This is a pick. Like, I was just like, whoa, like I spread like crazy on my ticket. Like, no. And then everyone's like, oh man, like it didn't work out. I'm like, it was just a funny thing. I don't know. Like, man, everybody was just like, I'm going to bet this horse. And I was like, yikes, what did I do?
When you have thousands. Yeah.
That happened to me with a big gambler, and I'm not going to drop his name. So he was on his way to Toga, and he calls me, and he's like, I only listen to 3 people if I'm not betting myself. Like, do you have a bet in the next race? And I swear to goodness, I worded it like this. I was like, I placed a bet, but it was off of someone's pace sheets. Like, it's not my pick. I didn't look at the PPs. And he's like, well, who was it? And I said, it's the one horse. And I probably put $10. Because again, like it was just off of a pace sheet, the whole bubble game, and didn't look at the PPs, have no idea about anything. He was like, all right, I just put $250 on it. I'm like, no, thing got last place. Like, no, like, but then I feel superstitious because I'm like, don't cancel the bet because what if? But you're like in this mindset of like, you should have never listened to me in this scenario. So anyways.
By the way, it looks like somebody put maybe $250. Maybe Kyle was putting $250 on Miss Langskip because she has plummeted to 2 to 5 on the line right now. So Kyle's getting frisky on his 30th. He's putting some money down here on the track.
Well, Kyle's 30 and dirty. Yes. He's not a dirty 30. He's already dirty, but he's turning 30. So we already know that some things are going down. So this is a chow horse. So if Miss Langskip wins, I expect everyone to flood Twitter with the chow gif just to make my night. This is the last race we're going to stay on the live stream for. Love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sarah, this is your call. I know you're excited.
I'm up. Yeah. At least it's a short field.
Yeah, and it's only 6 furlongs, so you don't have to call it for an hour and a half like I did.
Right.
So yeah,
It'll be
it's
interesting to see. Sorry, go ahead, Matthew.
no. I was gonna go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was just gonna say it'll be interesting to see what the final odds are because the 3 is a slight favorite in the pick 3. So
I don't think Dennis has broken 25 in. Dennis is a youngin', isn't he?
So
Dennis,
hard to
I think we
tell.
might be the
tell
same
us your
age.
age. Tell us your age. Don't lie. So he's busy tweeting out his win right now.
Hey, good for. Oh, Dennis chose 24. All right, there you go.
Woo! I won
He is a
something. I win the age game. Yeah.
He's young.
Yeah, Dennis. I win. Now I'm getting sad because I'm obviously over 30. Anyway.
And I'm over 40. So, just watch yourself. All right. So
it's so unfair. Men have it so easy. You don't even look a day over. I'll give you 30. How's that?
all right. I appreciate that, Brie. No, and I have no children. And yeah.
That's why.
No, it is.
Yeah,
It totally
so
is.
no gray hair.
Because I see my friends who are my age and I'm like, you look, bedraggled.
Tired.
And you look, tired. And so, Brie, not that you're going to have a wonderful, parent time being a parent, but
I'm sure
yeah.
I'll be tired.
Yeah.
If my kids are anything like I was or am, it's over for me, guys.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years.
I have one buddy who just had his wife just had their first child, and
Colin's really selling being a mom and a dad right now.
Yeah, Colin's a hard sell. But I'll text him and I'm like, hey buddy, like how's everything going with fatherhood? And he's my age. We went to college together, and he's like, oh, just really tired. Like it's just kids up it's a lot of work. And I'm like, what did you think having a kid was gonna be? Like this is not a transactional, they don't pop out fully grown. Like it's gonna take time, man. Like so,
Dennis is in the chat saying that I'm younger than him. That is false. I'm older than Dennis.
All right, Sarah, I'm gonna let you take over here.
We're in the gate. All right, it looks like everybody's situated in there. Might still be something going on with the 4 or the 6. Ryder seems to be off the 6. Seems to be getting back aboard.
all right, I was gonna say if this is a late scratch, this is bullcrap.
Yeah. Can't have any of that here.
No.
They're off. A little bit of bumping towards the inside, but Miss Langskip is going out for the early lead. Wits Magic is at the back of the pack. Giddy Up Zoe is trying to stay in contact with Miss Langskip, but Miss Langskip is opening up on the field early and going right down towards the inside. Then we come back to Wits Magic, who's made up a little bit of ground to the inside. A Sunday Suzanne to that one's outside, and Wits Memories is now the early trailer. Miss Langskip got the quarter in 23 4/5 with Wits Magic right to that one's outside, trying to make a bid to get a little bit closer. Long way back to Sunday Suzanne in third. And then at the back of the pack are Wits Magic and Wits Memories. Sorry, let's Giddy Up Zoe, who's trying to come after Miss Langskip, but Miss Langskip is rounding the turn in front and seems to be pretty confidently handled here. Giddy Up Zoe's closing on the outside. Sunday Suzanne coming down the middle of the track. Miss Langskip still in front. Giddy Up Zoe on the outside is coming after that one. Miss Langskip needs the wire. Giddy Up Zoe. It's going to be close here.
Ooh. I think Giddy Up got it.
Yeah.
I think so.
Are we sad about
Kyle
that?
should have gone
you
with a
guys
3
feel really sad about that?
Yeah.
Dirty Kyle and Miss Langslip getting busy tonight. I'm telling you, there's a lot. Kyle's 30 and dirty.
Yeah, I think the 3 got there, but that was, gosh, Miss Langskip looked like she had that well in hand.
It looked like she was home and then not quite. Yeah, I think the 3 got it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for, so you out. Hope the 3 got up. Yeah, I kind of agree that.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not good at
unfortunately-
calling the wire other places that I don't watch as often, or if I don't like really know where their wire is. But I think that's the three. I
Yeah.
don't know.
But Bree, that means no Chow GIFs. Sorry.
So sad.
Womp, womp, womp.
Womp, 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 womp. Good thing he runs. Good thing he races in literally every race.
Yes. Sure, he'll
More
come back in race
chances.
5. Yeah.
More chances.
I hope for Stable Duel that I was wrong, but I don't think I was.
Have they posted it yet? I don't know, not yet.
I think my
Yeah.
6 got up for 4th.
Post.
So
They're playing with the split cam.
Has FanDuel TV like shifted up the feed yet over their bar? Or no? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It is the 3. No, I don't know. I don't really watch a ton of FanDuel TV, so I don't really know what's going on. I've just seen people's Twitter musings about it.
Gotcha. I'll have to look.
Dad called me. It prompted a call from my father. He was like, I don't like this. I was like, okay. Like, I'm not a stockholder. Like, I don't know what
I
you
just
want me to
don't
do
know
about
why
it.
they
Like-
just can't format the feed above it. Like that would everybody would be happy. Just format the
I'm sure
feed
they can
above
change
it.
a graphic.
Ay,
Yeah.
caramba. But granted, there's a lot. Like I get it because sometimes you're like, it's not that easy. You don't understand. But okay.
Doing some graphic and video editing stuff myself, I will say that some things are an extremely easy fix and other things are really, really annoying. Like the other day, I did a video with Michelle Yu and she was wonderful, but for some reason, the internet connection on her end made her audio quality terrible. So I had to piece together seconds of words throughout the entire thing, and it still didn't sound that great. But I had to go through and like be like, okay, what is she saying? And then there's a gap, and I have to cut it out.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
pain.
I've been there, done that. More power to you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for everybody that tuned in. Good luck for the next 3 races within the app. I know it's going to update and we're going to see some movement on the leaderboard. Lots of money is going to get paid out tonight. And we'll do this next week and 1 more week. And then Assiniboia Downs is closed. This is the end of the meet. So 2 more weeks and then it's over. I know. So we're only here for 2 more weeks and it's been fun. Dennis said thanks. Colin said thanks. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Matthew. We'll bring in some additional guests next time, but I expect you two to be here just because we got 2 more times. 2 more. That's it.
We're all
Thank
in, and I appreciate being sent on location to steeplechases as well. So that's good.
Oh yes, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I might send somebody with you, or I might go myself. But either way, I feel like you're really close because you're in Harrisonburg area-ish, right?
No, I'm in Fairfax, Bree. Like, how many times do we have to go over this? But I have 2 of my best friends work at James Madison in Harrisonburg. So
that's but that's what I thought. Okay,
I can just go visit them and it's fine. So it'll be good.
All right, guys, have a good night. We're ending the broadcast.